I'm Babyface, and you're listening to Sean Stockman on That Note.
Welcome to On That Note, the podcast where we take a journey through the soundtrack of our lives. My name is Sean Stockman, and today my guest is a longtime friend, colleague, peer, whatever you want to call it, but someone who I've worked with in the early stages of my career, the man who basically changed the dynamic of my career and me and my guys, Boyz II Men's career, with his songs and the songs he created for us, which he's done multiple times for so many other artists. He's a multi-Grammy winning singer, songwriter, and performer. In my opinion, the greatest in that category of singer, songwriter, and performer of all time. And again, so proud to call him the homie. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kenny Babyface Edmonds.
Thank you. Thank you. So many people here. So.
right. You know, it's a packed crowd. It's a capacity crowd. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? You good?
I'm great. I'm great now. Thank you so much for taking the time and being part of my little podcast here.
Of course.
It's been great thus far, and as you guys know, and as Rika knows, I love to talk. So this should be very, very easy for me to do.
It should be a very natural thing.
It should be a natural thing. So again, thank you again. And just to give you again the gist of what this podcast is about, we try to veer away from industry jargon. There might be one or two things that we discuss, but for the most part, it's about your personal journey through music. What you love about music, the songs, the artists, and who inspired you. I'm sure you hear a lot of people say that you've inspired many people, but today we're going to find out who inspires Babyface as a songwriter, as a producer, and as an artist. So we're going to go all the way back.
Okay.
We're going to start way, way back in Indianapolis.
Okay.
All right. Let's say about 7 or 8 years old. You wake up in the morning, you stretch your arms out, and you walk into your living room. Maybe Melvin's there.
What grade are you in seventh?
I think that's second grade.
Yeah, 8 years old. You're probably
second, third grade, something like that. Tell me the atmosphere of the Edmonds household. What music was playing? Like, what did we hear if we walked in? If we were a fly on the wall, what was playing in the Edmonds household?
It could have been songs out like The Jerk, and because it's early days.
The Jerk.
And you might still been hearing Chubby Checker the Twist.
How about that?
And so it was definitely music that was going. I can remember. I have this memory of going to my grandfather's house and we used to hang out there with all my cousins and everything, and music would come on, and they'd tell everybody, "Come on, let's dance," and I would be like, "No, I'm not dancing." I would never be that kid that would dance. And there's this one picture that we have of the whole family at my grandfather's house, and I was always trying to figure out who I was at that time, and I'm the only one in this picture. I have this big hat on, and I don't know why. I have this hat on, but I look at that. Who was I at that point?
What kind of hat was it?
It was just like
was it a cowboy hat, or was
kind of like a cowboy hat? And,
okay.
And I don't know why I was wearing it, but that's our brothers and said that's who you were. You were always different. You didn't want to dance or anything, and I was sitting there with the face like I didn't want to take the picture.
You have that picture?
Yeah, I got it somewhere. And I was trying to figure out when I saw it, it reminded me of the music that would be playing in the house, and when everybody else would be saying, "Come on, Kenny, go on, do the dance, do the dance." I'm like, I ain't dancing for y'all. So music was part of it. It was part of our lives, but it wasn't everything yet. It hadn't. As I got older, it started to become more important.
Yeah.
And it became important mostly because my brother Melvin had started a band,
Right.
And so by the time I was in 5th, 6th grade, Melvin was into music, and he had a couple bands.
Wow.
Soul Innovations and
Yeah.
Revolution Compared to What?
Is that the name of that was the band name?
Really good
Revolution
name.
Compared to what?
Really.
Sounds like a preposition, but it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. That's cool.
And so music started to be around the house, and as well as listening to the radio, and it started to become part of the fabric of our lives.
Right.
So to say. Elementary school, from 5th grade to 6th grade, there was, you'd be in the choir,
right,
and you'd have the music programs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always like the best part of school.
Right. Yes.
We used to have our Christmas programs.
Yes.
5th, 6th grade, there was this choir called the Crooked Creek Crickets.
The Crooked Creek Crickets.
The Crooked Creek Crickets.
Say that 3 times fast, folks.
The Crooked Creek Crickets.
Three times fast.
And I used to know the song. We're the best in the Western Township. We're the Crooked Creek Crickets, and we are really hip. The best elementary chorus in Washington Township.
See, listen.
It suddenly came back.
I'm telling you, that's the catalyst. A lot of people don't understand that this is where the love comes from. Those kids song, those moments in those choirs and those.
That was the Crooked Creek Crickets that I was not in.
But you know the songs.
I tried to join it, and I couldn't join it. Kevon got in it, but not me. And Melvin was in it, but not me.
Well, why not you? Like, why they skipped you over?
I don't know. I wanted to be in it, but for some reason, I wasn't good enough. I just wasn't good enough at that point. And I auditioned, but I didn't make it. And I think I sang too. I think I sang too soulful back then. I wasn't proper enough. I was probably trying to do riffs or something. I don't know. But
hitting riffs in 6th grade. Killing it.
But I wanted to be in the Crickets, because that was the thing to be in. But I wasn't even either good enough or cool enough.
Do you think that drove you?
No,
that moment of being rejected?
I think that. No, that hurt more than that wasn't really like, okay, I'm gonna show you.
Right. Okay.
It wasn't a show you moment. And the music teacher, Mr. Dunn, that was the teacher. I think now it's all coming back. We were setting up for field day, and we were outside setting up chairs. And as I was setting up a chair, I accidentally dropped the chair, and it fell on Mr. Dunn's foot.
Oh.
And he yelled at me. He said, "You nincompoop."
Oh, he called you a nincompoop.
He called me a nincompoop.
That is insulting.
And I think
that would break a kid's heart.
Oh, it broke me completely. And of course, I wasn't in the Crickets either. So,
so it's a double whammy to the heart.
And he was head of the Crickets. So, so I thought that was telling. So I wasn't a part of that. But music started grabbing me around 5th grade by watching Melvin's groups. And in 6th grade, that's when I started to, music started to be important to me, because Melvin had brought a guitar in the house, and then it kind of changed my whole look of it. Because 2nd and 3rd grade, when you first had 7th and 8th grade, that was, I was thinking I was going to be, Cassius Clay at the time.
Okay.
I was very, very into boxing.
It was nice with your hands.
I couldn't fight. No.
You couldn't fight?
You tried.
You tried, though.
I couldn't fight. I got in one fight in front of the house.
Okay. How'd it go?
A kid killed me.
Oh, that's why it was only one fight.
Right.
One fight, yeah. I didn't even ask for this fight, but it all of a sudden I
found you.
I was told, you get out in front of the house. You fighting Terry from down the street.
We never asked for those fights in the hood. They just tend to happen, and next thing you know, you scrapping.
And I just went out there. I just, I was like, come on, see if you can get through this. He got through it all right. And he was like, You know, he came in fighting like this. I didn't expect that.
Right.
This is sixth grade?
Yeah.
No, this was like second grade.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Oh yeah, that's what you would expect from a second
Yeah,
grade
you
fight.
got they kind of come in open palm.
Yeah, they don't know
Kind of
what's
hit
going
you a
on.
couple times.
Yeah,
and,
you
know.
more scratches than anything.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of it. And so Cassius Clay, it was Cassius Clay at the time. It wasn't Muhammad Ali. He hadn't become Muhammad Ali yet. So I was thinking I was going to be in boxing, and then that killed that career.
Right.
And then suddenly music started happening later.
Yeah.
You were known obviously as a shy kid, you know, and you used a lot of your emotions with a pen.
Yeah.
Why love songs?
It was the only way I knew how to express myself because I was quiet, and people used to always ask me, why doesn't he talk? I used to go down. My grandfather had a soul food restaurant, and we'd go down there, and everybody would be standing in there, and they'd talk to me, and I wouldn't talk back, and they probably thought I was must be something wrong with that kid. But the question would come, why don't you talk to people? And I would say, so I don't have anything to say.
Right.
You know that whole, pinching your cheeks and all that stuff. That stuff didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And I was just like, quiet. And so when it came down to kind of expressing emotions, that's like, it wasn't just it wasn't so much writing poetry thing. It was writing songs, and writing about those feelings in a melody and stuff. And that's kind of like how that happened.
Was there any songwriters, even if you didn't know they were the actual songwriters to a particular song that you heard, that was the catalyst behind your style? Like, who inspired you as a songwriter that made you feel like, okay, because we all have some sort of like blueprint?
I think I'd have to say Smokey Robinson.
Okay.
The funny thing, I was very quiet and I was very shy, but when it came to music, I wasn't. And so when it came to performing or singing, I became another person. In sixth grade, we formed a group. I always remember all names. Larry McClure, Teddy Gaines, and Michael Truss.
Okay.
And Norbert Lane.
What was the group called?
We didn't have a name.
Yeah, okay.
But we got up to perform in front of my sixth grade class. But I talked Mr. White into letting us perform. And we sang 2 songs. I'm a Girl Watcher. I'm a girl watcher. I'm a girl watcher. Watching girl go by. Do 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 do. Never heard that?
No, who originally sang that?
I don't know.
It's got a very familiar melody, though.
Yeah,
I feel like I've heard it, though.
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily have heard it. But anyway.
But it's got that melody, right? You kind of feel like, it's catchy.
Yeah.
And so we sung that, and we tried to get Kimberly Cunningham to walk by because there's a part. And here comes one now.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do. And we wanted her to walk by. And
Kimberly was the cute one, isn't it?
Yes,
of
and
course.
she refused.
Kimberly ain't doing it. She's doing nothing.
Kimberly Cunningham. And so she wouldn't walk by.
Damn you, Kimberly Cunningham.
Yeah.
The other song was Smokey Robinson's song called Here I Go Again. Saw you there, and your laughter seemed to fill the air. Here I go again, walking into you. It's a whole pretty song that we sung. And the very first song that I wrote was called Here I Go Falling in Love Again. So I obviously took that a little bit.
Right.
And now thinking about it, definitely inspired by him.
Yeah. Okay.
And I only took the title. I didn't copy it word for word.
Right, of course.
know. But yeah, Smokey had so many songs.
Yeah.
At that time, from not just the Miracles, but everybody from the Jackson 5 to everything. So I think that he was really the first writer that I, related to and didn't even know that I related to.
Okay. So through osmosis, do you think that Because when I think about it, Smokey's career of songwriting and being a producer and a performer is very similar to yours. Was that something that naturally you just took that route as being?
I didn't know I was taking that route. And I wasn't studying his career. I wasn't studying him. And I didn't know that until much later that he did all of those things.
Right. Okay.
You know, I didn't know who wrote the songs.
Right.
So I found out later, you know. But other than that, it wasn't until years later that I actually put that all together.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
What do you feel like gets you out of your shell when you're performing? You said you're pretty much quiet. Obviously, we can see even today, you're very reserved and you're mellow and you're chill and you're not trying to take over the room. You just let your presence do that on its own and it does a good job. But when you get on stage and you have to open up, is there like an alter ego for you that you go into or where do you pull from to become who you are on stage? Because let's just say it, you're an icon and what you do is incredible.
Well, thank you. But I don't know. I learned how to perform, I think. And so part of that is just like kind of from years of just being on stage and being in front and just knowing you don't want to be boring up there.
Right.
And so you do the best that you can do there. But to be honest, I can't tell you where it comes from. I don't really know the answer because I know sometimes when I do the shows and that I do, and Sean's been to a couple of them, I think you even notice I become something different up there.
You do.
And I don't know, because I can't just like turn that on right now.
Yeah.
You know, it happens up there, and I can become a funny kind of person where I don't know where the humor comes from, because if I were to just say to be that right now, it just doesn't happen the same way.
Right. And
there's something that happens within the music and telling the stories and everything that just where I when I finally get comfortable, I can do and say anything, and it doesn't matter, and it feels like a safe place.
Yeah.
Because other than that, I can't really tell you. It's not necessarily an alter ego, because otherwise I don't know that dude in another place. You know?
Right.
Sean, for you, do you pull from another place when you're on stage? You're 100%. Obviously a bubbly guy, anyways, but do you pull from 100%. Somewhere else?
I become a different person. Like it's one of those things where you just there's a impunity when you're on stage. Like you're able to kind of just be yourself while at the same time being someone else. Like I've always used the stage to give people glimpses of my human side, but still giving people what they came to see, and being able to make faces and grunt and all kinds of stuff that you normally wouldn't do while you're sitting talking to your friends.
Yeah.
Like it taps into a different part of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about being a performer. And one of the harder parts, I think, with some entertainers is being able to separate the two. We were taught, again, I think we were one of the last Mohicans as far as like actually being schooled on just the virtues of the music business, not just being able to sing a record or whatever, but the things that come with it. And one of the main things that we learned was you want to always separate your personal life from your show life. When you're on stage, be on, go ham, go crazy, but be able to leave yourself room enough to have conversations like this. When it comes to music, I mean, yes, it's a podcast, but there's just a couple friends talking about music. Mm-hmm. And you can't have that when you're always quote unquote on. Like I've met a lot of entertainers that don't know how to separate their alter ego from just being a regular fucking human. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just be normal. You know what I mean? Like just, you don't always have to always feel like you got to be the coolest motherfucker in the room or just whatever.
Be normal.
Just be a normal person.
Humanize a little bit.
Yeah. So that's part of, I guess, a person's journey, which I think I was going to say is a testament of why Face is so successful, because he's able to be all of those things to a bunch of people. Like he's an artist, he's an entertainer, but he can also go into a studio and delve into your world and custom make a record for you. Like that takes a human side to be able to kind of sit with somebody and pull out emotions from another human being. Like you can't be high strung for that, or else you
It's like being a therapist.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a great producer or songwriter. It just wouldn't happen. Like, because you can't make it all about you. And being a songwriter and producer, it's an unselfish gig, because you literally have to take yourself out of yourself while still implementing yourself.
Yeah. So with that said, being probably the greatest songwriter that I've ever known, what is your process when you're songwriting? You just have to feel inspired, or you kind of have an artist in mind that you want to write for already? He's got a certain tone, or she's got a certain tone. What's your process when you're songwriting?
I think initially the process was writing whatever's in your heart. And you see something, you feel something, and then you just start to write about that, and it was always love songs, and I think that from listening to so many different kinds of music in the past, you get inspired by whatever it is, and so it's not just R&B, it's pop, it's whatever moves you, and I think my biggest blessing is the fact that I like everything. So it can be country, it can be pop, it can be rock, it can be funk, it can be hip hop. I think that had I grown up at a different time, then I would be whatever the music of the time would be. That's what would inspire me, and that's where I would lean towards. If I feel like it's good. Even when music wasn't good, I would, but everybody else thought that it was amazing, then I would study it long enough to try to understand, why do you feel like it's amazing? Because what am I missing? What am I missing? So that I could understand, even if it's a voice where people are crazy about somebody's voice, but I mean, well, they can't really sing well, but there's something about it that they like. And so I'm going to learn what that something is so I can understand that. So that I'm not going to sit back and be judgmental of and say, that's just not good stuff. Now there's something good about it if everybody's going for it. So when I write, it all depends on who I'm writing for and the purpose of writing. And or if I'm trying to learn a new kind of, if I'm just writing tracks, if I'm trying to write more pop tracks or more something leaning towards more R&B, then I always mess around with that as well. I might not get exactly what the genre is completely, but enough where it's kind of like in my vein, so to say. Then I'll go get help to get it the rest of the way there, because you play how you play, you hear how you hear, and no matter how versatile you may be, you can't. There's always a piece of you in it, so it helps when you do, collaborate with other people to kind of help get you there.
Question for both of you guys, Sean, real quick, going off what he's saying. When you guys are writing, this is for both of you, when you guys are writing, is there a preferred instrument, guitar, piano, keys, when you guys are writing to get that hook down, then get the verses down? Obviously, a bridge doesn't exist in music anymore, which you guys obviously made very famous. And in those days, we missed the bridges. Bring those back. Bring a bridge back to a song. But this is a question for both of you guys. Sean, why don't you take it first?
Well, in the beginning, I had no prowess in playing anything. Like, I would tinker with the piano or whatever, but I just used my imagination and my ear, like on what I wanted it to sound like. And when we finally got a record deal or something, like when we would work with, say, Dallas Austin or something like that, we would literally tell him, I want this. Play a string here, play a piano here, play the drums like this. And that would be it. And then for the most part, melodically, we would have the song down and we would just sing to what we just envisioned the song to sound like. Now, as we gotten older, we learned how to play a little bit. And now I play the guitar. So it's like, I go to that first because it just sounds the sweetest to me. And it's just easier for me to get notes out.
The best thing in the world that ever happened to me was they created the drum machine. Because suddenly I could write music by myself. Because prior to that, you needed a drummer.
Yeah.
You needed a bass player. You needed a guitar player if you didn't play guitar. You needed a keyboard player. So I needed too many people to ever really get the idea out completely. And so, and to make it really sound good. So when that drum machine happened, my life changed. Suddenly, I was able to sit in a room myself and then start writing songs, and that's all I would do. That's how I came up with so many songs, because my whole days were spending a day in a closet, a little studio that I would build in a closet, and with a 4-track and
gotta
just
get the acoustics right.
Yep. And so that was the whole day. Every day was when everybody else was going out and going to clubs and doing things. My day was inside that closet writing songs.
I definitely was a studio rat. That's for sure.
So Sean, him being such an awesome songwriter, what song did he write that you wish Boyz II Men would have gotten?
We actually used to perform this on stage a few years ago. We used to sing "We're Not Making Love No More" by Dru Hill. Like, that was always a record that when we heard that song, we were like, man.
Yeah, I wish I had that too.
Yeah, listen, how about this? We were like, hey man, he gave that group one of our god dang songs. Like, we heard that shit and instantly knew, like, well, we would smash that shit. And there was some time, and shout out to Dru Hill, y'all killed it.
Yeah, no question.
Y'all killed it. But yeah, that was one of those records that we just wish that we had at that moment. And as a get back for us, we would actually perform that. We had a section in the show where it was called basically songs that we wish we sang.
Yeah.
And that was one of them.
What was it? It was like a medley of.
Yeah, it was like I don't remember the other ones, but like that one in particular, like was one which
stood out.
Which actually brings me to what I always was curious, because there's kind of like an urban legend story behind End of the Road. Like, that was our first time working with you. This is 2-part, because actually I wanted to know what you thought about us when you first heard us. Like, because we never met until then, till that moment in the studio in Philly. And I always wanted to know, like, why did he pick us? Like, why us? Like, what was it about us that made you say, yeah, I think these guys can sing that song? And then 2, was that song written for us in particular? Or was it just a song you wrote for the Boomerang soundtrack and you just wrote it and that was it? And then later on you thought, well, I think these guys could pull it off.
There was a list that came up about artists that should be on the Boomerang soundtrack, and your guy's name was put on it. I wasn't completely aware of you guys, but I did listen to you, and I listened to Motown Philly. And there was a point in the movie where I saw a good chance for a ballot when I watched. And so this song was written specifically for you guys because it was written in the style of a Motown Philly kind of way. End of the Road, the whole chords and stuff is very much like, you know, in that vibe. And I said, well, let's go old school and go that way. And when I finished the song, I thought it was really good. And I thought, damn, I almost want to keep this myself. And I really was considering it. You know, I said,
and he sang the demo really good, by the way.
You know, like, it wasn't. It was all right. But,
do we have access to the demo? Do we have access to that?
I wish I did have that demo, but no, I don't know if I have that demo, and I wouldn't want to play it anyway.
But I burned that one intentionally.
Right.
But it was because I thought it was a really good song, and it just felt good. But I listened to you guys, and I thought that it would be fun to do it on you guys. What I didn't know is how good you really were. If I'm being honest, what we heard before from the records that you did before, they weren't crafted the same way as End of the Road was. So they didn't really kind of like show really the ability that you guys had, or even the emotion that was there, because they weren't really about those kind of. The rest of the records weren't really so much about that kind of thing. This was a little bit more mature.
Yes.
When you guys finally came in, we met you for the first time, and y'all came in and y'all started singing, and I remember I had to figure out part for Mike, because I got to get a low part, and we came in with the talking part, and you know, and because that was on the spotlight, because that was not part of the whole thing at all. But like, let's do the old school talking and everything. All that was kind of like, so everything was organic at that point. And then when you started singing the harmonies, and it just hit me like it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that it was that good. My demo feel like it should never get a chance to see the light of, you know. I was like, don't ever let that get out, because I had no idea how much a song could come alive when you guys took that song and you made it, you birthed it. You know, End of the Road would not be End of the Road without you guys. You know, and it's a good song, but it really came alive because you guys sang it. And then when
we were trying to impress you,
and well, when Wanye, you know, he had the hoarseness in his voice, it was cracking and stuff like that. All of that, it was like, because to me that was like pure emotion. So for me, it was like everything, because I'm just an emotion man,
right?
And so for me to get that, and for you guys to give me that, I was like, this is crazy of how good it felt. I didn't know how big of a record it would be. I had no idea. I never would know any of those things.
Right.
But I know that it was one of my best moments in terms of meeting someone for the first time and going in, and that's what happens. That's magic happened. And I don't even know that we knew that it felt good. We didn't know how magical it was at the time when we did it.
It was a uplifting moment, that's for sure. And I remember doing it, and the euphoric feeling that we had, first off, being in the studio with you guys, first off.
Sean, set that up. Set up the moment. This is the first time you guys worked together. You said you were in Philly in the studio.
It was. What
was that like?
We were on tour with Hammer at the time. And
people don't know how amazing Hammer was.
Yeah, Hammer was the shit. So we had a day off. Michael Bivens, who was our manager at the time, was adamant about us doing this record. And he tells a different story, because we weren't supposed to do it at first. Like, Motown didn't want us to do it. Why, I don't know, but
I think it was because it was on our album.
I see.
It was on the Boomerang soundtrack.
I see. So it was okay. So it was those politics.
Yes.
But somehow Bibb still got us in the studio with you guys. And it was a day off, and we went in, and we only had a few hours to do it because we had to fly back to catch the next date. And it was like a dream come true, being in the studio with the man who we made out to his music. We had mixtape song, with all of his songs. Tender Lover was like a vocal handbook for us being in high school and all of that. Like, that's just being honest. Like, like this,
that's still
we listen to it all the time.
Yeah.
And the fact that we were actually in the studio with you was just mind blowing. We recorded the record. I think we played it like 3 or 4 times before we left, and then we had to get back on the road. And honestly, we didn't think anything else about it, because we were just so busy at the time. And even when it broke the record, we were in London at the time, and it broke the record, and Motown was so excited about it. We were so tired.
What record was that was broken at the time?
We broke longest #1 Billboard charted song in history. We broke Elvis Presley's record, 36 years, and we were like, yay. And we just was like this afterwards. So honestly, we didn't really understand the significance of that song until years later, because we were just so, it was just like a whirlwind of obligation and things that we had to handle. So we didn't really have time to breathe. But the point is it was just the honor of being in the room with those 3 greats. Like, it was Face, LA, and Darryl. And it was just like it was just fantastic. Like, it was one of the greatest moments of our lives and our careers that changed our lives forever. Like, that song, like, I mean, mind you, we were selling pretty good. Like, we were at 7 million records and things were doing pretty good. But that song launched that album to Diamond, which is 10 million records for those of you who don't know what Diamond is. But Like that's the song that kind of catapulted us into from national to international.
Crazy.
And even to this day, like it's a staple for us.
Yeah, and 10 million albums back then was
Huge.
Yeah.
I don't think for me, I don't know any artist in today's time could do 10 million the old school way.
Well, it's because
I know now it's all
the old school ways are done.
electronic.
Like the consumption of records are not the same. Like you just can't do that these days. It's just not.
So the next question is love music? Is there still a place for the type of music you write and that you perform and you write, Sean? These are questions for both of you guys. Well, obviously, it's a different time. Yeah.
Well, honestly, I would love to hear that answered by Face, because the landscape, I believe, of the globe and just our world has changed so much, and things have kind of gone to a different, in my perspective, just a little more, I guess, direct and almost coarse to some degree.
Tender Lovin', you talked about I'll Make Love to You. These records, like, would these records survive in 2025?
I believe that as music changes, people change and how they listen and what inspires them. Are there love songs that are out there today? Yeah, there are. There's a lot of music that isn't necessarily R&B, but it's love songs. And so, and you hear it in, you can hear it in country, you can hear it in just pop, you can hear it in alternative music. You can hear love songs and find love songs. You can find love songs in terms of even things that have tempo with it. But people talk different today, and people say things differently. They feel differently. So yeah, you wouldn't. It's no different than trying to take a song from the 30s, a love song from the 30s, and act like it would work today the same way. We appreciate it, but we talk and we feel differently and we hear differently. To say what this song is giving, you don't say giving back then. So everything has a different meaning. R&B changes. R&B has gone through a whole different kind of feel in terms of how an R&B artist might come today, and how songs can be sound a particular way, and everybody's on the same page, whatever. We were all kind of doing the same thing a little bit back then too, and some rose above, some didn't. And I think that I wouldn't say it's impossible for it to come back to be exactly like that. I think to a certain extent, K-pop has brought back love songs and 90s music in a way that had been gone for a while, and so that means there's a door, there's an opening, because all you need is just one artist to hit it right. 80s music is so powerful and can still work today. I
love 80s music.
And 80s music is like, there's no question that, The Weeknd certainly, has messed around that 80s music feel.
For sure.
And it's timeless in that sense.
Yeah.
So good feelings can be timeless. And so it's a question of if you ask the question, can I Now Make Love to You work today? Yes, if you figure out how to take that good feeling and wrap it differently, because it's all about the feeling of that it gives you, and when people are ready to feel like that, it's maybe not as sweet. Mm-hmm. You might say things. You might say it a little bit differently today, but the emotion behind it and the passion that's behind it, love is still the same, and heartbreak is still the same. Mm-hmm. As long as we have emotion, there's always the chance for that to come back in a way, but it's not going to be exactly what it was, but it's going to be a little bit different. It has to be, because we're different, and kids are different, and so they don't, even though they'll go back and they'll appreciate it. There could be some kid that grabs it and does something completely new with it. I think like Tyler, the Creator, is amazing.
He's super dope.
He's so good. He's amazing how he takes
he's so dope.
pieces of things that we have. And he says, "Ooh, I'm going to do this with that and do this with that." And I think it's incredible.
And he's seriously musically inclined too.
No question. So I think the thing is, it's like letting people discover it and find it, and letting new artists discover and find it, and know that once they realize they have all these tools of what's happened before, and they can use those pieces of it to create the new, because it doesn't have to end, and I think that's going to always kind of keep happening. And when you have people like Tyler, the Creator, or even Steve Lacy, where I see them grabbing pieces of our history, and
yes,
at some point we will be hearing pieces of what we've done in other ways.
Evolution is important. Evolution is necessary for, I think, music to continue to sound fresh. But just like you said, love is always going to be love. The sentiment will always be the same, because we as human beings still desire the same things at the end of the day.
Yes.
And that's really what it's about. You've worked with a lot of artists. Which, if you could, change your voice into someone else's and have that person's voice?
I've done that so many times when I've been in the studio. Like when I've been in the studio with Johnny Gill, I said, "Man, if I had your voice, woof, woof."
So what would be one of your favorites? It could be multiple, but what would be a voice that you would say, "Man, if I had this person's voice," just like you said, if I had this person's voice, I would write this way, I would sing this,
but there's so many, because and it's not from Johnny's or you or Wanye or Lucky Day or Bruno, The Weeknd, people that have these tones and stuff that I'm like, man, if I and that's the whole thing. So it's not just one. And I'm going by people that I have been in the studio with, and because like some people, and I only say Johnny because I love Johnny, and Johnny's like, he's got this cool voice, and he hates singing in the studio.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, and trust me, I've experienced that too.
And obviously, Luther would be one that who else?
We all want Luther's voice.
We all want Luther's voice.
We all want Luther's voice.
And
that's true.
But I think that there's also this thing about it where it's not just about voices, because that voice has to match who that person is. Mm-hmm. So Luther's voice on someone else doesn't work. Like they could sing just like Luther and the whole bit, and you can close your eyes and hear it. But what made Luther special? Because it was Luther.
Yeah.
And his personality, and everything about him that made him sound and feel the way that he sounds. And so the same thing with the El DeBarge.
Yeah.
And Bobby DeBarge, his brother, who El worshipped, and El would always talk about he would not be who he is without his brother Bobby. Mm-hmm. And so it is the uniqueness about not just a person's voice, but their personality that helps create the character and the richness in the tone and the intention of how they sing and what they sing that makes the artist. Mm. And that's why everyone can't just be copied.
Right.
Because you can have a tone, but you can't be, but there's too many things that make up that mixture.
Yeah.
And
I know exactly what you mean when you look at like a Whitney Houston or a Michael Jackson. People try to mimic them all the time.
Well, we were speaking before.
Yeah.
Like being an R&B singer is not just singing, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's an actual persona that you put on, like, and that you become. Like, it's not just a job or something that you do, like working at McDonald's or something like that. Like you become immersed in that, I guess you could say, duty of being the entertainer, because there's so much beyond being a singer than just singing.
I think the entertainment part is, of course, a lifestyle, but being being who they are, it's their life. It's all the things that have happened in their life that allows them to sing the way that they sing. Mm. So when Whitney sings and all that she went through and from going through church and everything else and having this gift and going through the fact that she met Clive Davis, and Clive Davis pushed over to singing the kind of songs that she sung, which allowed her to sing different than she would have normally sang. Had she gone just straight gospel, she wouldn't be singing the way that she would sing. Right, she wouldn't hold those notes the same way and know. So she learned how to sing that, not from a lifestyle, from life, living life that allowed her to experience things in a different way that made her sing differently. Yeah. Same thing with Mary J. Blige in terms of why does she sing that way? Because that's where she came from. Yeah. Yeah. And so she's just honest. Right. And real. And so I think that that's what makes the difference. Yeah. And everybody doesn't get to live that life. Even though you may have a beautiful voice, if you haven't lived life, you can't always, those textures don't always become part of it.
I think 100%. That's true with an athlete or anybody else, right? You look at Michael Jordan, right? Him getting cut from his team and then going out of North Carolina, becoming a great, and then his father being murdered. All his testimony, right, made his story so
it feeds into his craft.
Yeah, I think that's special. We asked Sean this question, and I think it's fitting we ask you the same question since you're the king of love. Mm-hmm. Which of your songs did you test out yourself?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean, in the bedroom. Well, which one of your love songs?
Have you ever made love to your own records?
I don't listen to my records once I'm done with them. By here on the radio, I shut them off. I'm done.
That's it.
I don't. No, I never take my own medicine.
He doesn't bring his work home with him, guys.
Okay. So who was your love story? When you were making love, what music did you have on in the background?
I wouldn't throw on music. It's like, it's not, I don't need music. No.
Hey. Babyface don't need no damn music to make love. The music is in his body movements. It's how it's the way, he breathes in the whole, it's a rhythm in itself,
Yeah, I mean, look, there's music that is there that made me feel love and made me fall in love and made me, and that would be when I first was in love with this girl and I was finally getting ready to, the next day I was going to call her on the phone and actually go out with her. And I went to my friend's house and put on Michael Jackson's I Want to Be Where You Are and played that for hours and hours because it was exactly the feeling that I was feeling. And I can remember it to this. When I hear that, it takes me right back to that moment, right back to getting prepared to make that phone call that I was so nervous to make. Stevie Wonder, the song that comes on after Superwoman.
Oh yeah. Where were you? I need you.
My heart was broke that summer. Ninth grade. Yeah, played that song.
Yeah, that's
the
a
girl I was in
record.
love with.
Yes,
she was going away from summer spending the summer with some other guy named James, and I was like, I played that.
I agree with you on that.
And I played that again and again, and it spoke to my soul. Yeah. As I sat there, I wasn't a drinker, but I should have been. I was just at that point, but that was just like drinking at that point.
Name me an artist that you wished you worked with, but you never did.
Marvin Gaye. I never worked with Prince, but I didn't have the desire to work with him because I wouldn't have known what to do. I don't know that I could have brought anything to the table. I only want to work with people that I feel like I could bring something to the table. And I felt like me and Marvin, if I was in his presence, that I would have been able to figure something out. I did something a little bit with Luther, but it was a way I wasn't really in the studio with him, so it wasn't quite the same. So, and Luther I would have, and was close to it. He was supposed to do Every Time I Close My Eyes, but he pulled out.
Oh my God, that'd have been amazing.
Are you kidding?
No.
Wait, so say that again?
Every time
I don't know if I heard you. I don't know if I heard you clear.
That sounds like something Luther would do.
I wrote it for him.
Every time I close my eyes, it's written for Luther.
I can hear that.
You know, my wife
Instantly.
walked down the aisle to that song.
Really?
Yeah.
With you? Or because like you said, she was...
Yeah. I was there.
Yeah, let's be specific.
I was there by accident. But we had it was beautiful. She walked down and my boy was playing the sax. Yeah. And it was just like, that's our favorite song. Like that's so every time I close my eyes, it was written for Luther. I
would have thought, and excuse my ignorance, but did you ever do something with MJ?
Yes. Did a couple of things.
Okay.
Nothing that was major, but I did work with him.
Okay.
But Luther was he was the one, and he came to listen to it, and then he said, "No, that one's just not for me," because his production and stuff. You know, he had his voice because I did it. The true story, what it was, is Kenny G came to me and said, "Luther's agreed to sing for me. Can you write me a song for Luther and me?" And I said, "Yep." And I wrote it, and I demoed it, and I played it for Kenny. He loved it, and Luther was down the hallway at the record plant. And Luther came down and listened to it. We even I have a picture somewhere with us in the record plant. That day I played it for him and we took a picture anyway. And he said, no, that one's not for me.
Interesting.
I can't, I don't really, I think it's a beautiful record. And then probably a year and a half later, I ran into him somewhere and he goes, I should have maybe done that song. And he started singing it. And he started singing it to me. I said, damn it, you should have.
Oh, my God. No, I hear it. I hear it's in his range.
It was, yeah.
Luther's kind of lives in the second tenor realm. Like he can do some first tenor notes, but he's kind of like, which is one of the reasons why I loved him so much, because I'm a second tenor like through and through. I'm not a high singer unless I hit my falls, but that his voice was always something that drew to me because I liked female singers, right? Yeah. Like when I grew up, I listened to Anita and Whitney and all those beautiful vocalists. And there's something about Luther's voice. It had a feminine tone to it. Mm-hmm. Like his tone was so pretty, like yet masculine. Like I think the only person that had that lockdown in spades as far as like being able to sing in a certain tone that sounds very masculine, but somehow hit a beautiful just falsetto and just flips it off. And then it just kind of goes somewhere else. He was truly, truly amazing when it came to stuff like that.
Kenny G on that record too.
Yeah, no, I hear it now. Now I can't unhear it. Like I can hear Luther actually playing that or singing that song. Okay. Songs that you wish you've written.
I mean, that would be everything that's a hit. Okay.
Give us five. Give us five. Yeah, give us five hits.
Yeah, give us one, a few in particular. Give us five.
Like, damn, I wish I would have thought of that one.
That you think of that, like you're like, man.
I'll just give you one song. And it's kind of funny, because every time it comes on at a game and stuff like that, I will text this guy, the writer, and I'll say, "Damn you." Because it's one of those ones that everyone always goes crazy. It's a beautiful night.
No, I know. Yeah, definitely know that. It's a catchy record. What the heck?
I think I want to marry you. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Bruno is really I can't say, he's just a great songwriter.
And mind you, he's had other songs that I even love more.
Yeah.
But when you write one of those that the world goes crazy when they hear the first couple things, there's nothing more gratifying than "It's a beautiful night."
Yeah.
And then they finish it out.
Yeah.
And that's when you know.
It has a great signature too. Like you know it when you hear it.
Yeah.
Keep going, Sean. Start singing it.
No, it's really great. Okay.
I mean, why do you wish you wrote that one? Because of how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Yeah. It's just it's not really so much about like, cause it's the best words in the world and the whole bit. And cause he's written so many other strong songs as well.
Has.
I think in general, you know, I put Bruno's down as one of my favorite writers.
That was going to be my next question.
Period. Obviously Stevie Wonder, Lennon and McCartney, Tom Bell.
Tom Bell. There you go. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why that came in my head.
Yeah, Tom Bell is one of the most underrated producer writers, period, because he did so many things of that time period of songs that were from Philly,
international
to even doing Motown stuff. He worked with, did a lot of the Niecy Williams stuff when she was like hot. Incredible. And I hate that I didn't meet him because I was completely, in terms of being inspired, I was completely inspired by him because another, and I'm just throwing things out there, just singers as I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Gladys Knight.
Right. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, of course.
So,
100%.
So go off of that. Give us your top 5 artists of all time.
That's a tough one to put it in that particular space.
It's like an athlete giving their top 5. It's hard too, right? But you kind of have your go-tos that, you know, you're going to leave some people out.
Not to mention, I'm going to be so mad if he doesn't say my group.
Boyz II Men.
No, because we're dealing with female. So initially I go female.
Okay.
Because I go, you know, I'm putting Aretha at the top.
Nobody mad at that.
And I put her at the top because you have to look at her whole career.
Yep.
And you look at those early days of Aretha. It is unbelievable. And I think that a lot of people miss the earlier stuff to really, really kind of see the instrument that she had and how she used it. And of course I go with Whitney. I go with Barbra Streisand. That instrument and the way that she approaches it and how unique she is. So it's not always about being a soul singer and about how many riffs you can do.
Yeah.
It's about whether you touch me, you know. And I could go through a number of artists today that have voices that I think that aren't singers, but they like have amazing voices. I love SZA's voice. She's like so.
It's sincere.
And she knows how to work her melodies and it's unique. It's uniquely hers. And then there's so many other artists too that I think I could go down a whole list of just younger female artists today that are really killing it. And I don't necessarily want to go through a whole thing of naming people because I will end up leaving people out that I think that
they'll text you later and be like, well, I thought I was in your top
No,
5.
that's real. That's real.
Well, I think, you know, you guys being here together, you know, you wrote a massive hit for them. Let's go out on the hook of End of the Road.
I mean, well, I ain't going to sing it, but
no.
You know, but what,
I mean, you're a singer, Sean.
Well, no, but what I will say is this man has been someone who, regardless of how times have changed and how things might have gone, like he's always been constant, like from a personal level. Like it's not just from music, but just a person who, if I was able to call him and talk to him just about certain shit, he would talk to me. And a lot of times being an artist, it's kind of an isolating life where you really don't know who you can trust. You don't know who you can really just lay your issues out and trust those feelings with somebody. And we've always had that like connection, like of being able to say certain things, whether it's politics, relationships, whatever, and talk about it and even have a difference of opinion, but it still be a respect between the two. Like that's one thing I've always appreciated about this man, because with the accomplishments that he's done, I've met people with 1/10 of his accomplishments and are the biggest assholes. And this man is basically...
You like that one?
No,
I
Yeah.
I know somebody.
Yeah. and this man has basically changed pop culture with his contributions.
Unreal.
And one of the most humblest, kindest human beings on the face of the earth. And I'm gonna end it on that note.
I'll end it by saying that with Sean and the guys, is that in writing this song, The End of the Road, and writing that song, I didn't know what journey it would take us to, or take us through. Who knew at that time that that would take us, the very first tour that they did, that we toured together in 95.
Mm-hmm.
We did about, 10 shows or something together. And I had no idea that would take us there. Or the fact that how the impact of the music that we would do together would impact the world the way that it did. As much as they say that I changed their life, they also changed mine. And let me know that the world cared about the songs that I wrote. And
you said the world, people, not America.
It was the world. And so I didn't know that I could, this kid that started writing songs in 6th grade based off of Smokey Robinson, stealing a song from Smokey Robinson, that ultimately would do that I would potentially be able to walk in the shoes of someone like a Smokey. And then I would even, or the Tom Bells, and that I even would aspire to be that. And I wasn't even aspiring to be that. I just wanted to write songs and just do something in this music. And so who knew where our journeys would take us? And so I can say that in that journey, it's nice to have come to this point and to have written a song that was so important for artists that were brand new at the time, and the fact that we are here together today, and that we're friends with all of them, and that that we can break bread together and look at our lives and be proud of what we've accomplished and who we've touched, and not be hating each other, and just to be kind of like in a good space.
Yep.
And that is rare, and because of that, I think we've been blessed.
Well, I think I can speak for the majority of people, and thank you both for your contributions to music and life and love. You guys were incredible. I mean, you guys have been a big part of my lives growing up. You were part of my wedding, which is obviously a very important day, and you deserve all your flowers. Sean, you know how I feel about you. You deserve your flowers. I'm so grateful that you were born and that you did what you did, because you gave us all, like you said, music takes you back to a specific date sometimes.
Yeah.
And your music takes me back to specific moments all the time. My dad passed away 3 years ago, and a lot of your records got me through, some of that stuff too. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
And on that note, this has been On That Note. My name is Sean. Bass, thank you.
Thank you
for coming. We appreciate you guys checking it out. And thank you. Hey, y'all. And that was On That Note. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, here's a couple more videos for you to check out. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.